See, this is a topic which, when Sri asked, "Oh, would you like to do a presentation?" I thought, yeah, great. User interface design. I can talk about X controls, Q controls, splitters, sub panels, custom controls. I can talk about different types of picturing, how to extend them. You know, I put the presentation together and I realised that I could easily talk for a few days. So I'll spare you that. Instead, I chose, I think, the three most important and most powerful items to get a really professional looking user interface. So splitters, panes, and subpanels. Who here has used those three items before? Okay, maybe 2/3 of us. Hopefully in this presentation, we'll go through a couple of techniques that you haven't come across before. Also, can people on Teams hear me? Is it being shared?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, perfect. Great, so I'm going to start off with just a demo about splitters. And every time you put down a splitter, we create a brand new pane. So you get a 2-in-1 demo here. Okay, so here I have a really basic user interface. What I've put down, it looks like 5 splitters here. So each of these items is an individual splitter. To place down a splitter, you can right-click, go down to Layout. Then you have horizontal and vertical splitters here and here. You have modern ones. You have NXG style ones here. Silver and system splitters. And once you've put down a splitter, you can right-click and change the splitter styling to choose between them. So if you prefer one look over another, it's fine. You can just right-click and change. So for now, I'll just show you putting down one type of splitter. And this splitter allows me to create a new pane, and all of these panes have unique properties associated with them. So if I just run this piece of code, I can make all of the scroll bars turn on. I can change all of the colors of the panes. I could change all of the colors of the splitters. Actually, let's turn off the scroll bars and show how I think this looks a lot nicer than where we had the scroll bars on before. Now, if we have a look at the code for this VI, notice how I'm just getting a reference to all of the panes and all of the splitters, where a pane is going to be one of these items, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rectangles, they're all panes. All of the splitters are the items that split up those panes. I could get a reference to an individual pane or splitter and decide to turn on or off the scroll bars, both vertical and horizontal scroll bars, for the individual panes. The splitters, I could make them really thick or really thin. I can change the individual colors. I could prevent the user from clicking and dragging those panes. So I can stop people from doing that simply by locking it. Okay, let's quickly run this and turn off those scroll bars. Because I want to show you the one key feature that I use splitters for. That's mostly for scaling. So inside this pane here, I'm going to put down let's say, a graph control. Or a chart control. I'll right-click, remove the label, and remove the legend. I'm then going to right-click and pick Control to Pane. Okay, great. It's nicely scaled. It fits that pane. And imagine if I had other controls, maybe another one in this pane. I can right-click and fit to pane. And so now let's say this application is running, and I choose to resize the application. Notice how this one scales. If I move one of these splitters, the other one scales as well. And if I maximize it, all of these panes will scale. And it leads to a much nicer, much more professional user interface. But there are some things which I do for pretty much every application, and that's to have a status bar at the bottom. So regardless of how I scale my application, I want this status bar to always stay sort of this distance away from the bottom. If then I can fill this pane and this pane with two text boxes. One for status, one for revision number. To do that, well, I'm going to right-click that pane. Oops. There you go. Thank you. Right-click the pane, and I'm going to lock it. But even though it's locked, notice how it's still getting bigger. So I also need to right-click, go to splitter sizing, and tell it to stick to the bottom. So now when I run this VI, that splitter at the bottom always sticks, let's say 20 pixels away from the bottom. Oh. These splitters don't look great, do they? I know they're purple, but ignoring the color, let's say we have a text box here and a graph, you still have, what, maybe 5 pixels of dead space. That looks really awful. And so you can do things like look for the little nodes. You can't really see it on screen, but there are 2 little nodes there which I can click and sort of make bigger. I can try and make smaller, but by hand, that's sort of as small as you can get. I've managed to get 2 pixels before, but nothing less than that. So I've downloaded a plugin. It's a quick plot plugin from JKI, Control-Shift-A. Now that's going to open up a tool called Pane Relief. And so when that opens up, now unfortunately, I had this issue previously. It's opened up on my other monitor. But that's right, I have some screenshots of it.
It's a really good plugin. I like
it. It is a really good plugin. We'll come back to this a little later on in the screenshots. Another piece of software I wanted to show you was a user interface prototype I'm working on at the moment. So let's just I think that tool is modal, so it's not actually going to show anything. Oh, I'll edit this out, it's fine. Doesn't matter.
Did we disable demo mode?
I've had worse things happen in demos. Okay. So the demonstration which I'm about to show you is a user interface prototype I've been working on, which uses lots of subpanels, uses lots of splitters. Thank you. No. And it also does some neat things with sliders and changing colors. There's also some examples of queue controls, which I'm definitely not going to have time to explain, but I'll leave that with you as homework to look into. Okay, let's open up this launcher. Okay. Okay, so here we have a user interface prototype. There are a few key things here which I want to show you. So there are lots of splitters. Some of them you can see because they're a different color. For example, this pane and this pane, they're two different panes. There's a splitter that runs down the middle, but I've changed the colours of it, you can't really see. Here, there's a splitter running along the top. However, the splitter and the pane are the same colour, so again, you can't see. We can programmatically move splitters. So, what you see at the top here, by the way, with home users, device and options, that's an example of a queue control. If we add lots of devices on the left-hand side here, you can see that it's updated and it always remains in the center. The same for the right-hand side here. This splitter, or the selections for this pane, always sit in the center. And one last thing I'll show you in this demonstration, I've added more devices than you can see here, but as I showed you with scroll bars earlier, we can enable or disable them. Okay, obviously this demo is a bit rough around the edges because I'm still actively developing this UI and getting my thoughts together. Let's pin that and have a look at the color scheme. So this UI has to be adaptable for use in a laser lab where any light that's emitted can really affect results. However, if you're working behind a desk, perhaps you'll prefer light mode. Perhaps you're working in a lab where you can only really use red lights, or you want a particular wavelength. Well, I've implemented various color schemes into here. And again, it's still work in prototype. Like these text colors or the labels, we can change those fairly trivially. I just haven't got around to it. So we've got light mode, dark mode, and we've got a user-defined mode there. But let's close that. So hopefully that just gave you a bit of a thought about what's possible with these splitters and panes. So we had a look at light mode, dark mode, and user-defined for different environments your user will use the software in. So we've got dark mode here, light mode, and a user-defined mode as well. And the code behind the scenes is really straightforward. I have a simple ini file, INI file, that goes through the current mode that's selected, light mode, dark mode, user-defined. It then has different sections for what those different modes mean. I have 5 levels from background all the way to foreground of different colors, just written in hex. Okay? For backgrounds, an accent color. So when that splitter slides in and out, that splitter changes color to the accents. So the selected item will change that accent color. We then have complementary colors for the text, which, as you saw, I haven't actually implemented yet, but the code behind the scene is really straightforward, but it makes such a difference and makes a really professional application. Scroll bars. The custom, the Windows 10 scroll bar looks fine if you're writing Windows 10 applications, but if you try and customize your UI, this scroll bar sticks out like a sore thumb. So I've made it so it's only visible to the panes that need it to be visible for. And again, the code behind the scenes, really straightforward. I get a reference to the array. This is a picturing array. If that array is bigger than the pane, then show the scroll bar, else do not. Other things I wanted to implement, like keeping those selection items in the center. Again, every pane that you have on your front panel has its own reference, and you can customize the properties. I'm getting the total area of that pane And I'm using a scripting function called master rectangle here, because this array could go into the negative values of that pane, so beyond the origin point.
Does that work when it's compiled?
Yes. The things I showed you are actually PPL.
Okay.
So everything that you can do manually, you can do programmatically with panes and splitters. So here we have a splitter reference, and you get access to the colors. You can be told if that splitter is vertical or horizontal, the label. Now, if you don't change the label, you're just going to end up with splitter 1, splitter 2, splitter 3, etc. And that's no use at all. So change the label, and you can use the Pane Relief tool to do that. Sizing and position. Now, splitter position is what I was using to control the sliding in and out nature. The same with panes. We can change the color of the pane. Here we can change the labels. We can get references to all of the things inside that pane. So all of the controls and all of the decorations. So if we don't want to have a splitter encapsulating every single control, we could do it a bit more programmatically instead of relying on LabVIEW to do it for us. Now, this is what I was talking about. If you don't name your splitters and you don't name your panes, I have no idea what pane number 5 is. But that's where Control Space Control Shift A comes into play with Pane Relief. So here I have another user interface where you can see all of these splitters. If I select a pane, let's say that one, at the bottom it allows me to change the label. I can give it a minimum pane size. So I've noticed, particularly with graphs, if you scale down a LabVIEW graph to less than maybe 100 by 100 pixels, the legend sort of gets confused and you start to lose your labels, your axis labels. So to get around that, I just put in 100, so LabVIEW doesn't fall over itself. It can change colors and scroll bars, etc. The same is true for panes. So I've selected this pane up here. I've called it ribbon splitter. It's got a position, but notice the size of that splitter is 0. It is 0 pixels thick. That's something you can't do natively in LabVIEW. This is something which JKI are doing behind the scenes, and it is a little bit crashy, but it's really worth it. One thing I've noticed actually, if you set this to 0 pixels or 1 pixel, if you have a private VI, so a VI that's marked as private in a class or a library, that VI will be removed from that class or library, but in your project it will look like it's done inside of it. So you just have to close LabVIEW, open it up, click update, which is an option box I had never seen before. It then starts working again. So that's fine. And you can do sizing, so sticks to top, sticks to bottom, sticks proportionally. You can call it locked. On another note here, if you have a locked splitter, that means the user can't click and drag it, but you can still programmatically move it about. So for example, this splitter up here moves up and down depending on the menu option selected. That's done programmatically, even though it's locked to the user. Download this from LV Tools Network. It's called Pane Relief. Okay, how am I doing for time?
Take your time.
All right. SubPanels. Who uses SubPanels? 1, 2, 3. Okay, let's get that number up, because SubPanels allow us to just make such a dynamic user interface. So yeah, I was going to very quickly demo SubPanels. Here's my cursor. So this is an example that comes with the NI example finder. And if we run this, we have a subpanel here in this rectangle. And we can choose the we can choose the VI that's displayed in that subpanel. Okay, let's close that and go to, well, okay. If we go to help, find examples.
The demo gods really don't like you today.
That's right. Open up any example finder. Open up subpanels. If we run this, we've been able to insert the sine wave, sorry, the sine graph VI into this subpanel. Now, if we change this, let's say my user doesn't want to see a sine graph, they want to see random data. So they can look at the asynchronous process that's doing all of your random data manipulation. Then therefore they want to see what the time is. Oh, I'm not too far over so far. And all of these VIs are running asynchronously in the background, but you as a user can choose just to show one of them. And we'll stop that. Basically, to use a subpanel, you need to either get the VI reference to the subpanel or the subpanel reference to the VI. It doesn't matter which way you do it, so long as at some point they become buddies and you can insert the VI into the subpanel. The way that I mostly do this is I like to share the VI that I want to nest inside the subpanel to the subpanel. So I tend to do something like this, where this is an asynchronous process, it's a loop running somewhere. I send a message with the clonable name to the other loop that has the subpanel. I can then insert it. So I just go from the name, open a reference, and insert it. And I found that this is a lot more successful than the VI reference, because weird things happen with references in LabVIEW. I haven't found a totally secure way of passing them. Even if you protect them inside a class, sometimes they go awry. Couple of gotchas. The VI to nest has to be closed. So a lot of the time you'll see this sort of design pattern. We get a reference and we see if it is anything but closed, we close it. We can then insert it into the subpanel. The VI to nest doesn't actually have to be running. You could nest a non-running VI. However, this VI would have to be running, the one that's actually got the subpanel. In the user interface I showed you earlier, there are actually lots and lots of subpanels and lots of nested subpanels as well. This is how I started off the application, with a piece of whiteboard thinking. Here I have the very top level user interface that looks like this. It's a big empty shell. I have one massive subpanel here. I then have a status bar, a splitter, and another text indicator. Next to that, I have this user interface. This user interface has two subpanels, one here, one here. There's another subpanel here. There's another subpanel right at the bottom. And all of those are split up in splitter bars. This has the functionality to open and close this ribbon space. So it does have some functionality. It's not just splitters and subpanels. Next to that, we have something that's going to insert itself into that main VI, as well as lots of others that fill in the other blank spaces. We have a massive subpanel here, subpanel here, subpanel here, another subpanel that runs down the side. Inside this area here, we have another set of subpanels. This VI has the functionality to expand and retract these two splitters. But actually, I'm only moving the splitter on the left-hand side, and I've told this splitter to stick to left. So if this one moves, this one has to move. And it'll just move back and forth. I've got 1, 2, 3 subpanels there. And then now we get to the part where the user actually sees some stuff. I've got a graph here, control variables, a selector at the bottom, which I'm still to customize. And we fit all of these things together to make a really dynamic user interface. Now, the reason why I've made it so separated is, get out of the way. There we go. Let's say the user didn't want to have 1, 2, 3 items visible. Let's say they wanted just to monitor everything that's going on and have, I don't know, 20 subpanels. I can dynamically change this VI into another one. If you see in the background, I've got this subpanel or this one, I've got this one or that one. This one could be whatever. And all of these devices, they can be changed as well. And the technique I've shown you just works. And this is still in active development, and I'm still working on splitting in and out different subpanels, different splitters, etc. But so far, I'm really pleased with the results. The question earlier of if it can be built, yeah. In fact, all of these modules are built into separate packed product libraries. And so the actual executable is, I think, 30 kilobytes. The individual panels are a few hundred kilobytes as well. Right, I'm over time, so thank you very much. Thank you. Any questions?
Is this like a framework we should make a better?
Well, it's something I was going to talk about at the CLA summit, but you're going to have to wait an extra couple of months.
Or 8 months.
Huh?
Or 8 months.
Ish, yeah. There will be some examples online. I am working on a framework to basically turn the DQMH into something active framework-esque, which is what all this is based on. But I'll have to have a think about the IP for that one. Any other questions? No? Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
There is a comment from Dan Thompson actually.
Yeah, what does Danny say?
Saying I typically having problems getting my SubPanels. So do you want to
I typically have trouble scaling my SubVI when loaded in a subpanel. Do you have any?
Yes, so if you right-click a split, is my screen still sharing?
Yeah.
So let's create a new pane. Okay, so there's a few things here. If we right-click and fit control to pane, now that's a fairly standard one. That will just ping it to the corners. The next thing is to right-click the splitter, go to right pane, panel sizing, and then you have a few more options of scale all objects with pane or scale objects whilst resizing. I recommend clicking scale objects while resizing. And what that will do is, as you're resizing, notice how LabVIEW is doing this by default. what used to happen is you would resize and you get a dotted line, or something similar. It's a lot more processor heavy. However, like this is a Intel i7. When computers nowadays you don't need to worry about processor heavy operations. Does that answer the question?
I think so. Yeah. One other thing is that
Hello.
Go ahead.
So it's more to do with when you load your subvine to the subpanel, getting what you've got nicely on the FUB file to there's no origin as such. It's really hard to identify the top left origin for fitting it in. I sort of found a workaround, which is to do the OpenG scale to biggest decoration.
So all of your panes do have an origin, and you can set your runtime appearance to set your pane to origin at runtime by clicking this box here with inside VI properties.
I've never noticed that box.
There's another thing as well in Windows, in LabVIEW 2019. Let's move this somewhere so my origin isn't where it should be. I can go to Edit, Event Adjust Pane Origin, and that will reset the pane origin to this location here.
Or Control Space Control O for
Control Space Control O. Yeah.
Okay, they sound helpful.
The other thing I wanted to say is that during edit time, I mean, only the classic the classic splitter can be colored into the pane color. Everything else remains the color as well as the splitter coloring. So if you want to make the same color as your background, only the classic one can be changed coloring wise.
So yeah, that's a very good point. So the classic splitter, what they can all be, apart from the system, they can all change color. The annoying thing is all of the others have shading around the background side.
Yeah.
So you can change the front foreground color, but the background color is still like a dark.
So I made it completely transparent. That's the only way I know.
Or with Pane Relief, set it to 0 pixels wide.
As long as it doesn't crash.
I mean, to save you work, useful food.
It's worth it. It's worth it. SpaceX rocket crashed, but it's worth it.